this thing on? Because it's getting ready to be on.
Hello everybody and welcome to Bell Ringer. My name is Greg. Your guest name today is Richard Ferranti, Chief Executive Officer at Rich Products, headquartered right here in Western New York. They're a global company and we talk about their transition to a virtual world in COVID, how they remain on the edge of innovation, and a little bit about the Blue Jays move to Buffalo and Great Point Media and New Movie Studios' selection of Buffalo for its new studio. Awesome conversation. Thanks so much to him for his time and you for listening. Enjoy. Thank you very much for being here today. Really appreciate your time.
Hi, Greg. My pleasure.
So for those that don't know, we have a lot of listeners outside of Buffalo. Tell us a little bit about Rich's.
Well, we're a global company, a family-owned company. We've been around. This is our 75th anniversary. We're in about 100 countries. We've got a little over 11,000 associates around the globe, about 45 manufacturing facilities, and we're active in 5 or 6 different segments or channels that where we sell. So we sell in the food service side of the business, hotels, restaurants, those kind of folks, to your typical grocery store, be it a Walmart here and Asda in the UK, etc., to the bakeries inside of those supermarkets, to retail bakeries, and then we have a industrial business too, where we're selling ingredients to cake and dessert manufacturers and such. So pretty diverse portfolio, which is really helpful when you're going through a situation in a crisis like the pandemic we're all facing right now.
Right, and you mentioned being a family company, and I know that's really ingrained in throughout your company and in your culture. How has the last 5-6 months been as we've transitioned virtually and, kind of weathered the storm of this pandemic?
Well, I think being a family company really gives us a lot of advantages. And when you have a situation and a set of circumstances like this, where you know that you have to balance some of the short-term challenges and issues you're going to face with the long-term health of the business, the family has been, Bob and Mindy have been incredibly supportive and understand those trade-offs that we're making. So being a family company really does allow us to make the right decisions for the long haul. I think everybody who's been working their way through this pandemic, which is really, in all honesty, a health crisis that causes an economic crisis, which in turn impacts businesses and people around the globe in a lot of different ways. The ability for the organization, in our case, to be focused on a couple of things, that are primary. The safety of our people is really the number one priority for the organization. The ability for us to sort of continue to create value for our customers is number two. And the opportunity as an organization to really think about innovative new ways to work and that flexibility that needs to be built in is key. And I would say the other thing is this ongoing effort from a communication standpoint to just communicate constantly what we're doing, why we're doing, and where we're heading. People are, curious. Some people are a little nervous related to the implications of COVID, and being out front explaining all of that has really been, I think, a critical component of the success that we've had and the great people in the organization that this company brings to bear.
And you mentioned up top, you're a global company, the amount of employees that you have. How has that network, not just here in Buffalo, but across the world, helped the transition to go virtual and some of those communications that you're kind of touching on?
Well, I think that we've done a good job over the course of the last few years in a couple of different ways. First, we have a terrific and a very strong IT network and infrastructure. So basic tools like Microsoft Teams, as an example, which is what we use, was in place everywhere around the globe, from China to South Africa to India to Mexico, Brazil, the United States, etc. So we had the infrastructure in place to when we had a transition and people had to start to work from what we would say anywhere around the world, which basically means from home for most folks. We had the tools in place to make that happen. Second, I think the culture of the company, which is really all about a culture where people genuinely care about each other, is really been a critical enabler of this organization's ability to thrive and work together. We have a pretty collaborative mindset, and I think you combine those a strong culture, a collaborative mindset, the right kind of tools, good, strong communication. And the communication, just to give you a little sense of that, I mean, I have virtual town halls with 800 to 1,000 folks twice a month. We have a weekly newsletter that I send out. We have different folks on the executive team who provide their teams with different kinds of updates. As part of this COVID situation, we have a high-level executive task force that is meeting 3 times a week to deal with the variety of issues and challenges we face. We partnered with the Cleveland Clinic in particular to really help us work through a lot of the questions and issues that any organization is going to face. We rely on the CDC and World Health Organization and other institutions. So I think all of those factors put in place and having the right level of agility and flexibility, both from helping support our associates as they go through this, and at the same time balancing that with creating value for our customers and keeping people engaged have been really the keys.
You mentioned the strength of your workforce globally. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about the Buffalo team. Zooming out, not just in the last 5 months and that transition, but in really Rich's history and your growth here in Buffalo, what do you see in the Buffalo workforce and your team specifically that stands out as some strengths and things that other companies should consider when they're thinking about relocating here?
Well, I think Western New York has a number of really, really strong points of difference. I think we've got an excellent educational infrastructure here. When you think about Canisius, you think about UB, you think of St. Bonnie's, Niagara, and some of the other schools here. I think that's one. I think our proximity to the border of Canada, and basically we're 90 miles away from Toronto with 10, 15 million people, an incredible amount of diversity. It's sort of the epicenter for Canada when you think about business and culture and so on, and that sort of access I think is fantastic. I think the investments that we've made over the last 5 to 10 years and some of the partnerships that have taken place here, the medical corridor, just as one example, has really been important. And I think the city has a lot of diversity. I think the cost of living and the ease of living here, when you compare it to some of the other cities where the commutes, the price of housing, et cetera, is really pretty extraordinary. All of those are benefits. And I would say to you that in this sort of changing world, as we start to look out more and more, the ability to sort of work in a different way, leveraging technology, leveraging different tools, to some extent that makes a place like Western New York as attractive as any place else, because we're going to be able to attract talent who can come in here, spend time, and maybe not move here permanently, but we're just going to be, I think when you put all of these factors together, it really does make us a part of the country that has a lot of upside and a lot of differences versus other choices folks may have.
And you're making that argument for Buffalo here really eloquently on a podcast. You also made some positive news over the last few months during this pandemic, at least Rich's did, in helping to attract a movie studio to Buffalo, which many people may not expect. Tell us a bit about that somewhat surprising partnership.
Well, I can touch on that briefly. It's Great Point Media is the group that we're working about, and I think Western New York in particular has a couple of different things that are really attractive that we've learned to the movie industry. They love the architectural diversity of Western New York and the city in particular, the Richardson Building, the Frank Lloyd Wright buildings, et cetera, the park system. I mean, these are world-class attributes that people come from around the world. So they really like those features and how that plays into the actual production of movies. They like the 4 seasons. They like the sort of change of neighborhoods here. You have a city that's basically 150 plus years old, and so there's a lot of history and heritage in the area, and they like that. The topography from the sort of hills and valleys of the southern tier through Niagara Falls is really attractive for them also. The quality and the work ethic of folks here is really, and I talked before about the infrastructure, the school systems, and the quality of the people and such. That came through absolutely, really in a clear manner. I think Bob and Mindy have been really committed to sort of work with them to try to pull something together, and I think their commitment is also a big piece of all of this. So I think it's a multitude of all of those factors, and I think from that access to Toronto, again, it's a couple hours away. There's a lot of really unique sort of pluses. We're on the water here. Water is always sort of advantageous related to attracting people, attracting commerce and business, etc. So I think it's all of those factors. And this is the second largest point of entry between the U.S. and Canada is right here at the Peace Bridge. So just a lot of these factors come together, and I think folks see the opportunity. And again, these from a media company perspective, the ability to sort of create more and more content is really important, and so it's really a nice growth opportunity for us.
And before we started recording, you and I were talking about sports, so we'll kind of end the conversation where we started. It's been a well-reported and kind of long-time dream of the Rich family to have Major League Baseball here in Buffalo. We somewhat fulfilled that wish this summer under kind of weird circumstances, but the Blue Jays are playing home games here in downtown Buffalo. What was it like in the Rich's circle when that announcement came through?
Well, pretty awesome in all honesty. I mean, obviously it was a huge surprise to everybody. No one was expecting this. No one was planning this. Again, it goes into that pandemic. But out of issues and challenges and unexpected circumstances come opportunities, and that's what we had here. And I think Mike Muchkowski and that entire Bison's team worked really, really closely with the Blue Jays, and they were really helpful. And I think it's been just an enormous opportunity, a little bittersweet because here you have this team. Yesterday they made 3 trades on the acquisition side because they're fighting for a playoff spot and they're really in the hunt. Also totally unexpected, but really exciting. And it's tough. The only way you can watch these games is on Major League Baseball, or you can't get the games and you can't attend those, which is a little bittersweet. But at the end of the day, I think it's really proven what a great town this is, how resilient our organization has been to sort of pull something together, work with, again, the Blue Jays, Major League Baseball, and put on a great product and a great facility that really bodes well for us, and sort of live and learn as we go forward. But it's pretty exciting though.
Yeah, baseball is my favorite sport, so I'm working hard to get myself in one of the skyscrapers around the stadium and watch from a tall window.
Well, I think you can watch from Seneca One. And I just read something in the paper where one of the restaurants downtown, maybe it's Asteria, is offering like you can have a meal and go up on one of the floors and watch the game or something. So, people, it's interesting, right? It's a little creative way to both ensure that people have a great opportunity to experience something unique, watch a Major League Baseball game in Salem Field, and at the same time, have a great time with a terrific restaurant, and just people just think of different creative ways to sort of leverage this unique opportunity that we have. It'd be great if we could put 20,000 people in there, but obviously circumstances being what they are, you can't do that.
Yeah, this city still looks good on the MLB broadcast, so that's a positive.
It does, and they're banging those home runs out of there at a record pace. Huh?
Yeah, they're playing well. I'm watching a lot of Blue Jays this year. So thank you very much for your time and this great conversation and all that Rich's does for our community here in Western New York. Before I let you go, we have a couple hard-hitting Blizzard round questions. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what would you be?
Chocolate.
Book or TV show that you'd recommend?
Right now, I just finished up the book on the Churchill book. What was the title of it? The Splendor and the Vile. I just was finishing up on that. That was really, really a good book.
Great. Text or phone call?
Phone call.
Another sports question. Bills or Sabres?
Bills.
Hiking or skiing?
Hiking.
And last question, most important. Chicken wings, drumstick or flat?
Both. Flat. I like flat.
All right, great pick. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Those are some powerful questions at the end there, huh?
We end strong.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bell Ringer is a podcast by Invest Buffalo Niagara, the region's privately funded, nonprofit marketing and economic development organization. Please rate this podcast, follow our social media channels, and read our blog at buffaloniagara.org for the best of Buffalo Niagara. Come grow your business with us.